So to build a seven-figure per year coaching or consulting business, all you pretty much need is just a shiny object. But to build a 7, 8, or even 9-figure info empire, what you need to do is that you need to be able to master the art of value cognition. This is what separates entrepreneurs or infopreneurs doing anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 every single month that only last 1 year, and entrepreneurs doing $200,000 to $1 million every single month and go on to dominate the market every single year. Now, in this video, I'm going to be sharing the 8-figure value cognition framework that the biggest names such as Danko, Charlie Morgan, and even Alex Hormozi have been using to print well over 8 figures throughout the years, right? So it all starts with a single quote from this guy called Benjamin Graham, which says that in the short run, the market is a voting machine, but in the long run, it is a weighing machine. Now, this will play a huge role in what I will explain, so pay attention. So to get the most out of this quote and apply it to our own industry, we need to create a matrix, and I created the value cognition matrix, where on the horizontal axis we have real value, and on the vertical axis we have perceived value, as you can see here. I'm not sure if you can see this. Now, to get the most leverage out of this, we need to be able to reverse engineer each of those, variables, right? So when I'm referring to value, I'm referring to value as in your product and in your content. That value needs to be able to help them solve a problem and in turn get this thing right here, which is what they really want, which is the payment being elevated, and the result being achieved with the lowest effort sacrifice possible, the lowest time frame as possible, and highest likelihood of actually getting there. This is what real value means, and it is driven by this thing right here only. Now, perceived value is driven by many different things. It is driven by trends, it is driven by copywriting, it is driven by dopamine release, quite frankly, which is very bad, and then we have flashiness, and finally we have value. Now, you will notice that many of the things right here are not equal to real value. Only real value is equal to real value, and I hope this makes sense. So, therefore, the perceived value is not always the same as the real value, and this is causing a lot of different scenarios. So, on the blue quadrant, where we have low value and high perceived value, people, see the flashiness, see the dopamine, all that, and they just, push something. Like something becomes famous. Let's say growth operating 1.5 years ago, right? Then people understand that on that person's content, there is no real value, and therefore they just drop off, right? And then we have low value and no perceived value, where there's no winning in just explaining anything. People just do not care. And then we have the most interesting scenario. We have high value and high perceived value, where the high real value genuinely forces the perceived value to follow, and the perceived value this time is only driven by this thing right here, or it's primarily driven by this thing right here, and there's no mismatch between the two, if that makes sense. But the thing is, which is not that bad, you just have to be patient. It takes quite a while for this to take off, but once it takes off, it is exponential. Now, probably you want to be here if you want to build a genuine empire along with these guys, as you can see. Now, to do this, it is very simple. You never tolerate creating a piece of content that is not valuable. It's literally as simple as that. But to break this down even further, we need to create some sort of valuable content bottom line, which is what I have done exactly right here. So let's define valuable content. Valuable content is that when someone finishes watching a piece of content, whatever it may be, they're able to formulate a change in behavior that they need to make in order to solve the problem, and in turn get this thing right here, because many videos I've watched have solved the problem for me, right? 1 month ago I was building a software and I had all of those problems or issues with code. I watched videos and I solved them, but I questioned myself, why will I not pay this person $10,000 for consulting? Well, it's because that problem being solved was 1,000 steps away from me getting money in the bank, which was what I really wanted, right? So that problem being solved was not really helping me get this thing right here, very quickly, right? So the problems that you solve need to be as close as possible to them getting what they really want, if this makes sense. Now, for you to actually do this, you need to do two things. You need to shift beliefs, and then you need to solve the actual problems. And the highlighting cannot be viewed because it is blue. So the reason we're doing it this way is because your recipe's mindset and identity is not optimized to get results, pretty much. So you need to first shift the beliefs and reforge their identity. That way they have the highest likelihood of achieving success with your mechanism, right? I even did this in this video. I first explained all of this to shift your identity and make you believe that, what I'm gonna say is valuable, and then I went on to give you the actual framework, right? So the second step is giving, solving problems, giving them the frameworks that they need to implement in order to solve their problem. It's literally as simple as that. Now, breaking this down even further, let's say that the way I want you to imagine this is that there is a gap between the stimulus or the raw information being received through a sensory experience into their brain and the action being formulated, which is what everything boils down to. Now that gap is measured in time and cognitive load. So how much time do they need to spend thinking to go from this to this? It literally simple as that. And this is what actionability means. And the shorter this is, the more valuable it is when it solves a problem that is close to what they really wanted previously. Now, that gap needs to be small enough for them to see results through your content, but long enough to not devalue your offer. And the way you do this is incredibly simple, incredibly straightforward, and incredibly actionable. You don't want to give them the thing, but rather you want to give them the framework to figuring it out, if this makes sense. You give out the information for free and you sell the implementation, if this makes sense. This is a new version of share the what, not the how, which was pretty much bullshit. So if you do this correctly, if you do this exactly how I showed you here, the audience will watch your content, or your ICP will watch your content, and they will solve their problem and in turn get what they genuinely want. Therefore, you gain trust, which is the golden currency when it comes to building any organic or paid acquisition pipeline. It doesn't matter. And therefore, because this is business, this is life, whatever it may be for your ICP, inevitably a new problem will appear. So therefore, because you solved the previous problem, they go to you. It's literally as simple as that. And this is how you get them to buy your offer. And this makes up the foundation for everything you're gonna be doing right after that, which is exactly what I'll be covering on the next video I'm gonna be posting right here on this channel. So if you're a coach or consultant and you wanna scale your business to 7 or even 8 figures every single year, make sure you subscribe to not miss it out. By the way, if you're a coach, consultant, or course seller and you wanna help you build this entire system amongst many others to your own brand, to your own organic acquisition pipeline, so that you can scale faster and further without having to worry about content every single day or having to worry about scaling, sending the good hate, there's a link in the description for you to click in order to book a call with us. Now, don't worry, it's not like a persuasive sales call. Honestly, my goal with this is to try my absolute best to point you in that direction, even if that means me not securing a partnership. So, if this resonates, you can click the link and book a call. If not, that's entirely fine as well. I don't really care if you do or not, so yeah, take it back.